Hey guys, and welcome to Crazy Burger. So in this video I'm going to do something of a review update. So I've had this EXP-R now for about 3 weeks. I've had a few wobbles here and there, especially regarding charging. Now it does have some information on the Evercade website regarding charging, and it's probably something that I should highlight here. And it is quite important to get the most out of your battery life on your EXP-R. Now there is a supplied USB-C charge cable which obviously goes in the bottom, but there is no actual power unit, so you're obviously going to have to supply your own. And it does recommend using a wall charger that is 5 volts, 1 to 3.5 amps, and they've got in brackets there 2 amps recommended. And then charge the device fully on first use. The Evercade EXP-R battery has smart features which will improve the accuracy of the battery life readout with repeated use. Now the first time I sort of used it, I didn't realise I was actually charging it with some sort of slow charge, and it definitely does not like a slow charge. So anything not got a real decent charge or voltage or wattage in it, it really will not charge even fully. So you can see here the light usually would go red. If you're charging the device, it will stay red. Whether it's on or off, it doesn't really matter. But when I was slow charging, the charging red light never actually went off, and that was me charging the unit all night long, and it didn't ever go off. Now I've since changed the charging sort of socket that I've been using, so I've found a plug that has a better sort of wattage on it. I didn't realise that the one I was using really wasn't very powerful at all, but I've found a fast charging plug, and suddenly I've had some differences with the battery life. It does actually go off. The red light eventually does go off and turn green when it's fully charged, which was a surprise to me because previously it wasn't actually doing that. Now there is another few hints that I thought maybe would be worth trying as well to sort of get better battery life. Now in my review video I was getting 3 hours 20 minutes out of the battery life, and I've actually managed to get 4 hours, up to 4 hours, and it seems to be actually improving, which is kind of interesting. Now in the actual display I've actually put the brightness down to 50%. By default it's up to the maximum, and I haven't actually noticed any massive difference in the screen by putting it down to 50%. It's still absolutely fine. Whether I think it's maybe got some better battery life by putting it down to 50%, I thought it's definitely worth trying. Now there is obviously also an turn on airplane mode, meaning that it's not constantly looking for Wi-Fi. But I tried that option. It doesn't really seem to make a massive difference. It's not like this unit is constantly online. It probably just periodically looks for Wi-Fi and updates when they actually happen. So it doesn't make a massive difference by turning that on. But I would definitely recommend turning that brightness down to 50% to extend the battery life a little bit more. I think it did make a little bit of a difference in this occasion. So as it says here, it's got some sort of smart battery which should improve over multiple charge cycles. So maybe it's possible I will get up to 6 hours at some point. It has actually improved. I've done a reset, so Blaze actually reached out to me to recommend doing a reset. Because I was only getting about 3 hours battery life on this, they recommend doing a full reset of the device so that it sort of fixes the battery and recalibrates it, and it might have actually worked. So if you're interested in doing that and you're not getting good battery life, I'll leave some details in the description of this video if you're interested in resetting the battery, and it certainly seems to have worked on this occasion. Now you can see here I've got 4 bars in the battery, and that seems to last for about an hour 15, an hour 30 before it actually starts to go down, and that's something of a first for any EXP that I've actually ever owned. So maybe the reset has actually worked, and now me charging with the correct sort of plug and voltage, it seems to have made a massive difference to the battery life. So I'm actually quite chuffed from getting 4 hours battery time or playtime out of this device, which is nice. It's a massive improvement over my old EXP. I was only ever getting about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, which isn't really great for these devices. So even though that's something I said in the review, I was getting 3 hours 20 minutes, which isn't actually bad, but now getting over 4 hours, that's a massive improvement. So that is pretty good. Maybe it was my fault, maybe I was charging it incorrectly. I was using the cable, but perhaps using a slow charge that wasn't right. Maybe Blaze really should be putting in a proper plug so that people are charging these the correct way, because I mean, even a lot of people just charge wherever you've got a charger sitting, or maybe like previously I was charging mine through my Xbox, which caused a massive issue in my original EXP. It basically killed the thing for some reason. The slow trickle charge doesn't seem to be doing this any favour at all. But anyway, that's a positive. I've definitely got better battery life than I had before, even from the review video. And you can see I've still got 4 bars on the battery life, which is fantastic. Would be nice to see a percentage here though, that would be really cool. Also looking at some of the things like overheating, which was in the original EXP, this is not the case here. It does heat up, but it's definitely not overheating. I've had this thing running obviously for 4 hours constantly, and left it on even when it was charging, and it never gets any more than just nice and warm basically, so it never actually overheats, which is pretty good, because previously the old EXP, you could fry an egg on the back of it. It heats up something awful, especially in this sort of area here, even behind. If you take the cartridge out and touch the metal, it is extremely warm. Now obviously in the original review video I did highlight a lot of the light bleed, which sometimes you can see down the bottom here. Now through regular gameplay, it's something you probably don't notice as much. Gladly you don't see it down this strip here, so they've obviously covered that up, but there is light bleed there, but through continuous use you kind of start to ignore it, so it doesn't really become much of a problem at all. So that's a nice thing. It's something I probably just ignore now. Now I've definitely had a few wobbles here and there. Now it could have been down to how I was actually charging the unit. I've had the unit actually turn off completely. I was exiting a game and it just completely turned off. I've also left the unit with maybe 2 bars of battery on it, turned it off, come back the next day and it was completely done, and it wouldn't turn on. It had to be charged, so not sure what was happening there. So there's definitely been a few wobbles with it. The last few days it's been fine. I guess since I've recalibrated it, I've not noticed any massive issues at all. And it seems to have done the trick, so I would definitely recommend doing that if you are experiencing some battery issues with your EXP-R. Now strangely there is some unsupported games which I wasn't actually aware about. Now Bubble Seahorse Adventures is not supported yet on the EXP-R, even though you can actually play it on the original EXP, so not sure what that's all about. I thought the devices were pretty similar. So that's kind of fascinating. So there's obviously some sort of differences going on between the different handhelds. Hopefully this will be supported at some point soon. There might be other games. If you are aware of any other games that are unsupported, please drop that into the comments so that we are aware of it. But I'm not aware of any other issues, but there might well be other games that are not supported out there. But that's the only one I'm currently aware of. Now sadly, the sound hasn't improved any. I think Blaze are trying to work on it, but it really hasn't improved at all. Now you can see it, you can hear it obviously, but in some games the sound quality is pretty poor, especially games like Tomb Raider. The sound just is nowhere near as loud as it should be. Obviously we've done a comparison with the Super Pocket, and you can hear the Super Pocket sound is so much better and louder. Now it's fine through headphones, but for whatever reason some games just are nowhere near as loud as they should be, and there's nothing you can do to change it. I've tried a few different techniques, but for whatever reason it just won't get louder than it actually is, which is by far the worst thing about this device. Is the sound quality is really rather poor. And as you can probably hear, I'm not going to touch it or play it. It's so much louder on the Super Pocket. It does vary from game to game. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. Tomb Raider is by far the worst example. This game is absolutely fine. But yeah, if you move on to some other stuff like PlayStation games, the sound is really all over the place. Maybe it can be fixed from firmware updates perhaps. Time will tell. I have to say I've absolutely loved playing this game. I've even made progress that I never did back in the day playing this. I really never got off the first level, to be honest. Now I'm somehow managed to get onto World 3, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. Never got a chance to play anywhere near as far as this. Now this is one tough game without a doubt, but those save states definitely help, and I think they'll give massive life to a lot of games like this that are just too hard. But yeah, what a great game this is. Hard, but brilliant. I love it. And I've been playing this a lot more over the last few days and really enjoying it. Now let me know, guys, what games have you discovered that you're playing through, that you obviously get second life with using those save states, because playing this back in the day, I really would never have got off World 1. Not a chance in heck. But it's definitely interesting that you can get different powers through each of the levels. This one, you've now got some sort of ice power, which is kind of cool. But yeah, don't fall in that water because it's not great. But as you can probably hear here, the sound isn't spectacular. It should be a lot louder than that, and that's as maximum loudness as it actually goes, and it's really not great. But put some headphones in and it's definitely far improved. But yeah, if you put this into a Super Pocket, the sound is much better, which is crazy considering this is a device that's basically double the price of the Super Pocket. I'm really surprised, and considering what they've learned from the Super Pocket, I've never had any charging issues with a Super Pocket, never had any sound issues with that. I thought some of that would have sort of crossed onto the new EXP-R, but it really didn't. But glad to say I have got some better battery life out of it, and getting up to 4 hours is definitely a huge improvement. Maybe I'll revisit this at some point in the future. If I suddenly start to get 6 hours battery life, which would be absolutely amazing. Now it will differ depending on what you're playing and what you're doing with the EXP, but yeah, it's definitely an improvement. I thought I would update you guys. If you're still on the fence about buying this, maybe it will sway you to get it, maybe it won't. I've seen Smiths was selling this for $79.99 recently, which is actually a really good price for this. And if you're still on the fence, that's probably worth looking at. Now, if you've already got an EXP, perhaps you don't need this. Although if you're new to Evercade and you're thinking about getting one, maybe it's time to look at it, especially if you can get it for $79.99. Anyway guys, that's just a quick update on my experiences in the past few weeks on the EXP-R. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now.